World Cup Racing, it's the perfect place to see new developments and R&D. In this video, we're going behind the scenes with some of the brands and see what product they're working on, which eventually gets fed down to you, the rider. Now, so we're talking about e-mountain bike R&D. We've got a really interesting subplot here in Finale. Actually within one team, the Orbea team. So we've got Orbea Enduro, which features Edgar Caballo and Flo Espiniera. And on the Orbea Optimization Lab team, which features Damien Otton and Gabi Torralba. Two big stories here. So obviously the Enduro team features the riders riding the Orbea Wild with the Bosch motor, whereas Damien and the Oolab team have actually got the Rise with the Shimano motor. Obviously, Team Shimano are here as ever. We've got the full works unit here this weekend. We'll talk to Shimano guys in a minute. Damien, this is going to be interesting. When the stopwatch is out, Damien Otton against the clock. You came 8th here last year on the standard Shimano AP801 motor. The new Rise, obviously you've got the Shimano guys here. They've got a bit of a tune going on this bike, right?
Yeah, correct. They will talk a little bit more about it than me, but yeah, I'm quite happy to be on the new RS motor, on the new AP801, which gives us a little bit more of power with the carryover as well. So it's going to be for sure faster on the power stage, and then we got also the new bike. So yeah, quite good, and I'm pretty happy to be here. Yeah, for sure.
Just to give you guys a bit of background, now the new Rise comes in an SL version and an LT version. Damien's riding the LT, which is 150, 160. The motor these guys have got is different to the standard motor. And the standard motor, which comes as production, it's kind of got detuned software to get more range out of the battery, right?
Yeah, correct. Just give you a little bit more range. So to be like simple, we slow down a little bit of power of the EP801, just to give you like a little bit more natural and more distance to get the same.
But you can still get the full power, 85 Newton meters, full peak power off that motor in production form, can't you?
Yeah, for sure. On the new one, you can now choose on the app whatever you want. You can do 85 Newton, yeah, easy.
So we'll talk to the Shimano guys about what's different about Damien's bike and Gabi's bike. But talk to us about Oolab. What kind of things you do here?
We are testing. Actually, the Oolab is the Orbea Optimization Laboratory, and we are here to test the product, so to put the product at the maximum level. So we have been working, for example, on this bike for years now, on different kind of stuff, from geometry, from stiffness of the frame, from suspension tuning, many things. And now we're gonna see against the clock how it goes. So I'm pretty stoked and pretty excited to be racing tomorrow.
So it's really interesting. You talk about geometry, you talk about frame stiffness. You don't quite want a bike which is too stiff, do you? You want a bit of compliance in the frame as well, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. But we also learned one thing about testing is like you don't want the same thing on the e-bike than the normal bike. I mean, I always go a little bit softer on the normal bike because I'm not so heavy, and my place on the south of France is pretty rough and technical, so you don't want a super stiff bike. But on the e-bike, it's quite different because the weight of the bike, and then we push those bikes now like crazy. So you really want to have the good balance in between. So we go a little bit stiff on this one because we were losing a little bit of time, and there was too much traction. So now I think we have the good setup, but it's definitely different than I would say acoustic bike.
So you raced enduro racing for many years. Have you now made a switch to e-mountain bike racing?
Yeah. Well, I will say I'm not here to win, but I will give my best because I don't want to put pressure on myself. I just want to be like best tester possible, but for sure when I'll be up there, I will give everything. So
yeah. I mean, this is a World Cup race. We've got a bike which is 150, 160 mil travel.
Yeah.
Your colleagues over on the Orbea Enduro team with the Wild, they're on a 160, 170, yeah, which is going to be best. Do you think you're at a disadvantage because you've got less travel?
No, no, definitely not. I think it's actually an advantage because plenty of the time you're over the engine. So the light bike will be like I think a good thing, especially in finale. We have a pretty physical race. So yeah, I can't wait to see tomorrow how it goes because it's quite like it's almost 5 kilo less than the wild. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes.
That's interesting. So what weight does this bike weigh in at then?
It's around, well, depend on the seating, but it's around 20.
Okay, so I did a weigh-in actually last year of the World Cup bikes in Chatel. This would actually be the lightest race bike here, I'm thinking, this weekend.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Damien's got no doubt about that, have you?
yeah, definitely, because it's the main project of this bike is to be the as light as possible, so the lightest e-bike of the market. And now with the new AP 801 and 85 Newton, I think it will be the bike to buy. It's
going to be a really interesting battle on the power stage, isn't it, between Bosch versus Shimano, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Look at him smiling. Now, obviously, you've been telling me that you've worked on this bike for several years now. It's in production. Lots of mountain bikes these days, they're designed on a computer before they're sent off to Far East to be printed out to go into the mold. So, what's involved in the R&D of this bike then? I mean, obviously, you must have the team in the Basque Country, and you go yourself testing in France. What things do you test out in the field?
So we testing first the aluminum version, which we valid like the geometry of the bike, the angle, front triangle, the length of the chainstay, everything. And when this is ready, then we're going to the carbon mold. And then from that also we testing some different layup of the frame. So for example, I'm not on the Basque Country. I stay home to do my test. They will send me like I take an example of this bike. They will send me like 3 rear triangle from different layup of carbon, and then I will give them the feedback. What's the best, and to find the best balance in between the computer from them and myself from the terrain. So it's a good balance in between us and me.
Wow, that's quite in-depth testing there. That's something which lots of brands don't do, right? Unless, I mean,
I don't know. I never work on this with other brand, but I mean, for me, and I think for us also, it's very important to have the feedback from the terrain as well, because sometimes like the engineer also gets crazy with the numbers and stuff. So I think they need us to say, okay, this can be okay, and then let's go with this.
Let's go through a few numbers on the Orbea Rise. Chainstay, seat bangle, bottom bracket height.
Chainstay, it's 440. Yeah. So it's I think the shortest one we can have on the 20-inch each wheel.
Is seat bangle, when it comes to seat bangle, is it less important because you've got the climb here, El Nino? Yeah. It's super steep. Steep. You're actually not sat in the seat.
No,
so
you're all pushing on the pedal. So it's not important on this kind of stuff, but then it's important to on all the other stuff so you can have the power on the pedal and still.
And how tall are you?
170.
What size bike do you ride?
Medium.
Okay. Yeah. Just one last thing. Crank length. What crank length are you going for?
160, the minimum one from Shimano. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Actually, there's loads more things. You're on link glide on the back.
Yeah. 11 speed. Yeah. I'm used this because it's the strongest transmission that I have rode before. Is the link glide is amazing. You can use an automatic mode, so you can switch whatever, shift whatever you want, which is give you like an opportunity to shift when you want. And then we're using also the free shifting, which to me now it's hard to get back to normal bike because it's so useful. Yeah.
Okay, Damien, thanks so much, and all the best this weekend.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Now you might be very familiar with these gentlemen I'm joined with now. From Shimano, we've got Nick Murdoch and Sahana and Oishi and a new member of the team, which is Boone, right? Is it Boone? Yeah. Now, you might recall that last year, Shimano actually came back and won several power stages with the EP801 motor, which was quite surprising for a lot of people because Bosch were dominating up to that point. Nick, we're at Orbea here. What's obviously there's different levels now with R&D with Shimano, correct?
That's right, yeah. The quick way to say it is that the Yeti team is a development team. So we're trying new things and kind of looking for the next advantage to make the bike more capable, perform better during the race. Once it gets to a certain level, then we can roll it out to other teams. So Orbea was the first one last year, and now we get to go into the season from the beginning this time, using a couple of new race features. And basically, they're kind of doing final confirmation, making sure that it works well before we push it out to production. But that's our intention, is that soon some of these new race features will be available for everybody just by firmware update.
Wow, that's major news. I'm sure there'll be a lot of very happy people with that statement. It's going to be a really interesting weekend up on the power stage, right? I mean, it's also a big statement in the pits, I think. We've got like Shimano are pretty much taking over the Piazza area there. And like, you know, you've got some of your, how would I call it, your adversaries are in maybe some smaller pits. Shimano are going after it, right?
Yeah, for sure. We take racing seriously. So we like to have a big presence here and lots of resources to be able to support all of the racers. And that means we have a big footprint, of course.
Nick, first power stage, El Nino is called. It's pretty brutal, two really punishing steps in that. Really will be the showpiece of this event, right?
Yeah, for sure. I was out there watching practice yesterday and scoping out the lines that people were taking. Of course, it's already hard because it's a downhill track, but then they tape it to take away the easy lines and stuff too. So you could see where people were having trouble, and where like you can maintain some advantage by being able to keep momentum. For sure, the easy one I think everybody knows about is that the drive unit has a little more overrun. So when you stop pedaling, it allows you to carry that momentum and for sure makes the bike more capable. So
good to see you guys at the races. Are we likely to see yourself and Sahana and Oishi at more races this year?
For sure, we'll be back. Oishi is running the race program this year, so he'll be at basically all of them. And then when there's something important to test, Shahana is now working full-time on auto shift again, because we've kind of realized that it's got real potential and it's getting better and better for the market. Yeah, if there's something that I can help with test with, then I'll be back as well.
What do you think defines a good race motor?
Well, there's a lot of secret stuff. We try all kinds of things. These drive units that are getting close to being released for production, though, they've got three kind of distinct characteristics. They've got the extended overrun, so it keeps applying power about up to the maximum of 2 meters after you stop pedaling. The speed cutout, it takes you all the way up to the maximum speed and then it just cuts out so that they can have as much as possible. And then people who are familiar with our E2 project app can see that you can choose your level of assist, 1 through 15. These guys have like a level 16. So a little bit quicker acceleration and being able to use the power all the way. And then we can go back to just adding 600 watts for the EP801 drive unit was actually getting ready for racing a couple of years ago, knowing that we needed to broaden the powerful cadence band of the drive unit by increasing the watts a bit.
And I think for me, what's great to see is the likes, you know, you got Damien, you got the Rotwheel team, you got the Yeti team, obviously, and they're all using Link Glide cassette, Link Glide derailleur. You know, and for people who are buying products, you know, drivetrains are expensive, you know, turnover parts on a bike. You know, you can get those for like, as I mentioned a few days ago, you know, 100, 120 euros. So to get the fastest people in the world riding that product, I think it's a great statement, right?
Yeah, for sure. And what makes me really happy is that every single one of them chose to use the Link Glide drivetrain. They all got to decide if they were going to use Hyperglide Plus or Link Glide. And actually the Enduro team from Orbea that's using the Bosch drive unit, they chose our Hyperglide Plus drivetrain. So both are out here, both have got kind of pros and cons, but good to see that there's a real like absolute performance application of Link Glide as well. The shifting security is basically name of the game.
Thanks so much for joining us and great to see you guys back at the races. Now, any off-road motorcycle fan will be very familiar with the name WP. Very exciting year last year when WP got involved with the GasGas factory racing team. There's 2 teams then, there's 1 team now. Joined by Andreas. WP, interesting story from the guy who used to work on the motocross forks, decided to dabble in some mountain bike suspension, right?
So the whole story with the development of the WP suspension for bicycles started almost 7 years ago as an inspiration of a super cool guy and a bit of a mad engineer that we had within the motorcycle.
Clever engineer.
Yeah, clever engineer, I would say, yeah. It was just something that he was really excited to work for. He was even working on this plan on his spare time, let's say. So this guy, he was the one who had the idea to bring the cone valve system with all the cool benefits that have been proven on the motorcycle side, introduced that to bicycle suspension. And long story short, we come to 2 years ago when the first samples were ready to test. This guy, by the way, he's riding his mountain bike every single day of his life. So he was the perfect developer / tester to prove the benefits of this cool technology to our bicycle setup. And in order for us to go to the market on the right moment and the right time, we collaborated with DVO because they were giving us a really high quality and premium offering with the new Onyx forks and the new suspension setting that they have. So we shook hands, we worked together, and now this DVO powered by WP setup is bringing our cone valve technology into the bicycle segment for the first time. Yeah.
So you're actually using Alex Foyol, former World Cup downhill race winner, to develop the product even further, right?
Yeah, last year it was our first development season. Alexander Foyol got a couple of top 5 results. Now we are even more ready to go racing. Alexander has already 1 full season of development of this suspension setup. He has a very particular setup for himself, which is not too far away from the production setup. And you should probably ask him, but he feels really confident on this setup and to push. And lastly, one of the major benefits for the cone valve technology within the bicycle suspension is the more you push, the better it performs. Because the way the oil is flowing through this conical valve inside the fork and the shock, it allows for a much improved oil flow in the higher spectrum of the diagram.
And I'm certainly going to go and spend some time on that in these terrible rocks here in Finale. Andreas, thanks so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
At the Polini booth, these guys actually dismantled Florian Nicolai's motor, putting it back together. It's all about check, check, check. And they do it pretty fast too. How long does it take to dismantle and put together a motor?
Oh, wow. Normally we check all the bearings, all the gears and everything inside the engine before the race days. And for us it's normal. And all our internal parts we can replace everything and check. For us is very, very important for flow and Alexis for the Fulgur teams. This is our support.
Boom. We're talking about development. Obviously, the Strive was actually launched last year. It won the World Cup last year. Patrick Gross is the product manager behind this bike. Quick question, what are you doing here?
Well, we are trying to support our racers. You already said it, Fabian is not here this weekend, but we have a very strong team here with Alex and also Jose. We're very keen to see them racing and for sure also want their feedback directly when they come back from the racing and see how they feel on the bike.
Can I ask you what kind of questions you ask the racers and what kind of feedback level you expect of them?
Sure. So basically we go throughout the whole bike. So for sure we are focusing on the frame development. They're having a lot of strong partners with SRAM RockShox for suspension and also for their shifting feedback. So we're focusing on the frame and seeing what we can improve there to get their experience on the trail even better and to get them faster.
What are we talking? Are we talking about like flex stiffness, compliance, chainstay length, bottom bracket height, weight? What kind of things are we talking?
Well, you named, I think, like 70% of it. Yeah, we're talking stiffness, flex, whatever they want in the frame, what they are experiencing on the trail. We're talking, especially those guys are racing small sizes, so size small and size medium for Jose. So yeah, we are very keen on how they feel in the bike and what kind of feedback they expect to get from their racing machine. And for sure, we look very deep into what we can adjust for them, and then for sure also take feedback from that to our customers.
I guess the difficult thing with e-mountain bike racing is it goes to so many different locations, different rock type, different soil type, different power stages, maybe different feelings of the riders. It must be a really complicated business, right?
It is, yeah, and that's why, yeah, we just the racing department here is one thing that we're looking at. For sure, at home in Koblenz, we're all the time riding those bikes, and
some great trails, right?
We do have some really great trails. Nobody expects it of Koblenz, but it's a great place riding. Yeah. So what we do, or what I do, is I try to get the feedback from all different places, and racing is one big place where I expect to get really great feedback from guys that are really pushing the limits. They are pushing the machines. So for sure, we're here also always talking about closely with Angelo, like what bolt do you have to daily take in your hand, because it's just going nuts.
Angelo said he just puts air in the tires.
True. That's because the Strive-On is just a really hassle-free bike to work on. Yeah, for sure. There's always stuff on the bike that breaks. So we're very closely looking into that, and for sure want to get better at every small bolt and every small washer, and try to eliminate all the problems.
Angelo, you're in charge of tire pressure, right?
Oh yeah, tire pressure and fork pressure. Fork pressure.
Is it all you do?
Everything, pretty much what I do. And sometimes I align the steering tube as well.
Hey, so serious question, right? Obviously 85 kilometers this weekend. Changing batteries is going to be quite a critical part of the or battery capacity, and changing is quite critical. Is there any is time tight when you do things like that?
Honestly, in this bike it's quite easy to make it. Like we have like a simple latch in the bottom, so it's like it's not something that we are thinking about. It's quite easy.
But do you do any calculations? So other guys riding in like full power mode, I mean, did you calculate that you might be able to ride a smaller battery rather? So the Strive comes with a 625 or a 750. Is there a discussion about?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. With training, like we've tried the loop like with different batteries, and like of course we calculate these things. Yeah.
So what's Alex riding this weekend? So
Alex is riding 625. Okay, so Jose is riding 750 because he's 10 kilos heavier than Alex. So yeah, 625 for Alex, 750 for Jose.
Big battle between Alex and Jose on the power stage.
We'll see. We'll see. We hope we can get first and second place.
It's the right answer. Wow, very cool stuff there. Remember, folks, bikes such as the Canyon Strive-On, which was ridden by Fabian Barral to the World Cup Series win last year, are bikes you can buy at the very moment in time. Thanks to Nick at Shimano to give us a great insight into the Shimano motors of the future. So there you go, folks. A little bit of a sneak peek of what's coming for you guys.